Foundation Cornerstone, Chapter 4. Battles. Let's talk about the armor of God continuing here. Let's talk about the breastplate. And having on the breastplate of righteousness. It's an armor that covers the vital organs in the chest. Don't forget that the breastplate of righteousness means purity and fidelity. Let's turn to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse number 8. But let us, who are of the day, be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet the hope of salvation. The breastplate is as solid as the righteousness of the person that's wearing it. Romans chapter 6. Romans chapter 6 and verse number 13. Neither yield ye your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto God, as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto God. 1 Peter chapter 3. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 12. For the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers, but the face of the Lord is against them that do evil. Let's look to the feet. And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Of course, the shoes of a warrior are what give them the sturdy stance and protection from uneven ground. Lets them stand fast. Let's look in Romans chapter 10. Romans chapter 10 and verse number 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace, and bring glad tidings of good things. Their stance, steadfastness, are the feet of them. Let's look in 1 Corinthians chapter 16. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13. Watch ye, stand fast in the faith, quit you like men, be strong. And let's take a look at Galatians chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5, verse number 1. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ has made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Let's take a look at Colossians chapter 1. Colossians chapter 1 and verse number 23. If you continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel, which ye have heard, which was preached to every creature, which is under heaven, whereof I, Paul, am made a minister. Standing firm on your spiritual resolve, not moved from the hope of your life in the gospel. Your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Let's look at the shield. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. The shield is a flat or convex piece of armor carried on the arm and used as protection against weapon blows, arrows, bullets, or projectiles. Let's look in 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 3. But the Lord is faithful, who shall establish you and keep you from evil. The shield of faith. Hebrews chapter 10, verse number 23. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. 2 Timothy chapter 4. 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse number 7. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Your faith, your evidence in your life. Sometimes you don't even feel saved. But the good news is The flesh never feels saved. It's not going to heaven. It's your soul. Your shield of faith. Let's look now to the helmet. And take the helmet of salvation, a hat or another head covering made of a hard material and worn to protect the head from injury. Let's look in 2 Timothy chapter 1. 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse number 7. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4 verses 23 and 24. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. Let's look in Isaiah chapter 54. Isaiah chapter 54 and verse number 17. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. Let's look to 2 Corinthians chapter 10. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse number 5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. The helmet of salvation, keeping that spiritual sound mind. The devil can tempt you in your mind, but he can't get into your soul. That's been covered in the blood of Jesus Christ. Your helmet of salvation.